It's January 2021 on a crisp winter morning in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Like always, we've been experiencing some wonderful mild winters with temperatures dropping down to 6 to 8 degrees Celsius in the night, followed by very warm afternoons and the temperature average going up to about 18 to 20 degrees centigrade. I thought this would be the perfect time to discuss my gardening experience in Riyadh and to show you the basic ideas of hydroponic gardening. This is Dr. Atika and welcome to the Controlled Living Experience. In case this is the first time you're hearing the term hydroponic gardening, I'm sure you must be wondering what it is and why should I consider it. As you know, plants require three things to grow: sunlight, fresh air, and soil for nutrients. Hydroponic method of gardening removes the necessity of the soil by providing nutrients which are dissolved in water and that are enough for a healthy plant growth. That basically means that the entire lifespan of the plant can be spent in a single container of water in which nutrients and water will be topped off at regular intervals. Now, what made me consider hydroponic gardening in Riyadh? Well, first of all, this is the middle of a desert and the temperatures go as high as 48 degrees Celsius in the summers with 0% humidity. And most of the people living here are in rental spaces with not a lot of access to gardens or open spaces. Rooftops and balconies and big windows, however, are available and sunlight is plentiful all year round. I had started initially with a rooftop garden and a front yard garden, and most of my herbs and plants were in plastic planters or in big ceramic pots. Now, they required a lot of care, especially during the hot summer months, where since they were not in raised beds, multiple times a day they needed to be watered. And in case I was busy or I did not have the time or energy to deal with that, there was no flexibility. I lost a lot of plants in that way, and any person who is involved with gardening would know how depressing that is. Hydroponic gardening gave me the ability to move my plants around if and when needed. When the temperatures got too high, I could move them to a shaded area, and this has been a wonderful learning experience for myself and my son, who can now understand how much time and effort is needed to actually grow food. The three essential items you need to start your hydroponic garden are plastic net pots, rock wool, which is the growing medium, and any kind of seeds that you want to grow. In this video, we'll be giving you step-by-step actions on how to germinate the seeds and a weekly update on how they end up. Our very first step is to take our rock wool and dip it into fresh, clean water. Make sure that it is soaked thoroughly, but just give it a little squeeze just to make sure that it's not too dripping wet. The second step, as soon as we're sure that this is properly moistened, we are going to insert it into the plastic cup, and we need to push it all the way to the bottom just to ensure that there's no gap between the bottom of the plastic cup and the bottom of the rock wool. This is, as you can see up close, fitting very well. This is a 2-inch diameter basket with a 1-inch square rock wool. The second step is that to take a skewer or a chopstick and deepen the hole in the rock wool, and this wet tip is also going to help you pick up the tiny little seeds which are a bit difficult to handle with the fingers, and insert it and make sure that they are deposited properly. We are going to put at least 2 to 3 seeds in each rock wool just to make sure that we have germination, because sometimes not all of the seeds germinate properly. Now, in case you're lucky enough to have a currently growing basil plant, either you or your friends or someone in the family has it, there are other ways to propagate basil. So what you do is you take off a part of the stem with at least 3 to 4 sets of leaves.
you can remove the bottom sets of the leaves and then use the rest of it to create a new cutting. As you can see, this is a very nice and healthy cutting that we have. I'm just removing the bottom 2 to 4 leaves, which I can just use in another salad. It's a clean, healthy stem, and the rest of the procedure is going to be similar as before, in which I'm going to wet a piece of rock wool, make sure that it's properly saturated, and then instead of inserting the seedlings, we're just going to insert the whole stem and make sure that the stem is properly covered and reaches all the way to the bottom of the rock wool, and then it's going to be planted into the plastic cup just like the previous one. These are two very basic methods of propagation. Now, once the net pots have been prepared, whether it's you're growing them from seeds or you have a cutting ready, the next step is to provide a moist environment, which will continuously provide moisture from the base of the net cup. So as you can see, I have a container with some clay pebbles in it, and I'm going to add a tiny bit of water in it. That's why I wanted you to ensure that the rock wool is touching the base, because we don't want to soak the whole rock wool, but we do want the bottom of the rock wool and the bottom of the stem in the cutting to be in touch with water.
As you can see, in week 1 we have germination, but we don't have any obvious roots yet. We're going to still keep it on into a nice humid environment. In week 2, as you can see, a tiny little root is visible. By week 3 we have a significant root, and it's now time to transplant it into the nutrient solution.
From the beginning of this hydroponic project, I've been avidly collecting all of these yogurt boxes from my friends and family and my co-workers as well. These are 2-kilo yogurt or Lebanon boxes, which I think every household is using at least 2 to 3 of these every month, and it was getting thrown in the garbage. However, I found a way that if I get a circular drill and drill a hole in the top of these boxes, they're ideal for the Kratke method of hydroponics, which basically means, as you can see in this next video, that once the plant is fitted into this box, all I have to do is within 2 to 3 weeks, whenever the water level drops to a certain point, I just have to refill it with the nutrient solution and water. As you can see, this plant that was transplanted around 12 weeks ago, this is actually a cherry tomato vine, and it grew to 12 to 14 weeks, and now you can see the tiny flowers, and I think there is a small tomato growing on this plant as well. This I was just keeping for demonstration purposes. It's usually trellised.
Let's have a quick discussion about the nutrients that we're going to use. It's a combination of 3, which is a master blend, calcium nitrate and Epsom salt. The numbers on each bag actually signify the percentage of the nutrients and essential elements which are present in that blend. For example, in the master blend, you can see that it's 4% total nitrogen, 18% is available phosphate, and 38% are the other essential elements and soluble potash. The ideal percentage that we use is 12 grams of the master blend, 12 grams of the calcium nitrate, and 6 grams of the magnesium sulfate, which has to be dissolved into 5 gallons of water, or approximately 20 liters of fresh unchlorinated waters if you're using that system. These are the amounts that I've measured out to prepare a 38 to 40 liter container that I use to plant my seedlings. This, as you can see, is my son helping me fill out the solutions. This is where ultimately the seedlings are going to be transplanted to grow during the Kratke method. At 12 weeks, our plants are ready for harvest. Now, basil is a wonderful herb. It's full of antioxidants that help you decrease your risk for a variety of health conditions, including cancer, heart disease, arthritis, and diabetes, and it's chock full of nutrients like calcium, vitamin A and K, manganese, magnesium, iron, zinc, and potassium. But if you really want to enjoy the benefits of basil, you should eat it raw. Dried basil doesn't really have the same health benefits. And of course, don't forget the absolutely mouth-watering aroma and taste that goes so well with salads, sauces, and pastas. One of the best ways to use this freshly harvested basil is to make pesto sauce. Now, I usually eyeball my recipe, but the proportions that really work well for me are 2 cups of fresh basil leaves which are packed, half a cup of freshly grated parmesan, half a cup of extra virgin olive oil, half a cup of pine nuts, a few garlic cloves, a quarter teaspoon of salt, and a quarter teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. Of course, the end result will definitely depend on what quality of extra virgin olive oil you're using and how fresh the pine nuts and garlic and all of the other ingredients are. Now, pesto sauce is a very versatile ingredient which can be used with a variety of sandwiches, pastas, salads, soup, and grilled meats and chicken. However, when you do make pesto sauce with fresh basil, I would advise that you use it within the first week to 10 days, because after that it just loses its flavor and you won't really get the benefits. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider hitting the like button and subscribing to my channel, where I'll be posting a lot more content on a healthy living lifestyle, minimalism, and professional organization. If you're interested in hydroponic gardening, if this topic spoke to you, or you have personal experience, please do share your comments and questions down below. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.